Everyone, welcome back to 5-Day Crypto. My name is Chase. Today we're going to look at AMP versus the US dollar and also AMP versus Bitcoin. We got about 7 different charts to show you today. So if you like the video, give us a thumbs up, follow us on Twitter, Telegram, and Patreon, all linked in the description below. Let's get right to it. AMP on the Gaussian channel on the 5-day. We got a 5-day Gaussian channel. That's what we got. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, we don't really know yet. Why? Because AMP is so young that this is the first time that has entered the Gaussian channel on the 5-day chart. So what do we want to see? Is this bullish or bearish? Well, it's never bullish when you enter a Gaussian channel. However, it's not necessarily bearish yet either because it's the first time. We don't know how it's going to interact with it, right? It could pop out of it quickly, which we need it to do. Any coin, you don't want to be spending a prolonged period inside the Gaussian channel. So it's not going to take a whole lot, right? We just got to move a little bit to get out of here. About 5.5 cents and we're at the top. If we can somehow flip that and hold it as support, all is good and AMP can continue the move up. But so far, we want to watch for resistance at the top of that channel. Like I said, about 5.5 cents. We do not want to get rejected from that because then we'll probably, the odds are, we'll revisit the median line or visit for the first time. If you get rejected from one of these lines, going whichever way you are at, you're likely going to go to the next line. So if we bounce off of this, say we come down over the next handful of days, going through October, we come down as this moves up and we bounce, and then we'll likely going back to the top side. If we get rejected from here, we'll likely come down to the median line. So if we lose support on the median line, the odds are on any coin, you're going down towards the bottom of the channel. Now that doesn't mean you drop straight there. As you can see, we just kind of move in harmony down the slope or up the slope. So we just want to watch this on a 5-day Gaussian channel, big key indicators on these because the 5-day tends to have the least amount of fake outs across any coin. You can use them on Bitcoin, your favorite altcoin, AMP obviously, Ethereum, whatever. Historically, anytime you're at the bottom of a channel, it's a good time to be buying. And basically, you don't want to be in it, period, plain and simple. But if you can seem to hold on the top line and bounce, that's a good sign. A lot of coins are above the channel. A lot of coins are at the bottom of the channel. We're going to look at AMP on a couple different charts today. So hopefully this will help you in the future, right? You can go look at it on any coin and you can kind of get a little bit more information about it because you're not getting a whole lot of info off the Gaussian channel from AMP. So let's go look at our next one and see what we got. Well, this is a weekly chart for AMP USD. And what do we have here? Well, we got a couple trend lines. One, I would say our major support line, which is our previous initial run up, or our previous local high right here of just above 3 cents. This ended up closing 0.032. Okay, so that would be major support. If you lose that, then you've broken the entire market structure and you're probably in deep crap. Okay, but that I would look for that to hold because you got your initial one, you came back up, you broke through it again, came back down, kind of tested right around that same area, and now we're trying to get some power, right? AMP is still young, so we don't have a lot of history to go on to see how it interacts with different levels. So you can go back and look at Bitcoin or Ethereum and kind of start seeing similar moves based on past moves. Sometimes those start rhyming with each other, not necessarily mirroring, but rhyming. Okay, so what else do we have? The orange line here, kind of a general uptrend trend line, right? So what do we want to do? We want to continue to hold it. So there's good news and bad news with this trend line. This is the good news. What is the bad news? Well, potentially you could draw this a little differently, right? If you go up here, you have a few more touch points on a weekly scale. And as you can see, this becomes a little bit more concerning because the more touch points, the more solid that line. So although both of these are accurate and correct, that is a trend line. The one that has the more touch points is that one. Why is that concerning? Well, if you break a big trend line since, say, back in March of 2021, you break through it, you don't want to flip and hold that as resistance. So we will see if this is the trend line or is this the trend line. Have we already broken kind of structure for AMP or not? We don't know. But that level is kind of just shy of 6 cents. Now, you can also see what else is around this level. Well, look right here. See all these candles that are holding support, and then we lose that level? So we don't know yet, right? AMP is still so young, but if we come up here, like say that 0.58, and we get a rejection over the next week or two, we could even push it out and just come up along this and say we get rejected right here, right? If the longer it takes, the higher that line would be, or that level would be. So if we get rejected wherever on this line, then I would say that this is the stronger line, and that would be again a bigger cause for concern. If we get rejected off of this, it's likely we're coming down towards these areas. We don't want to lose local lows, right? You don't want to lose that. That's about 4.46, right? That closed at 0.046. So I would look for that level if we get rejected off this. If you make another lower low, then it's likely that we're probably going to need to get support off of this. However, that's neither here nor there yet, right? I'm just giving you future, right? We could simply, this could be actually the trend line. We don't know yet. So are we going to just go up? Well, what do we want to look for if we go to the upside? I'm glad you asked. It's these highs, right? You just, in order to reverse trend, right? We've been making a downtrend, higher, lower highs, right? See this? So in order to break this structure and start going back up again, we need to take out these candles. So first would be this 6.2. If we start closing weekly candles above 6.2, we're good. What's the next level? It'd be this candle. What's the next level? It'd be that candle. If we break this, then we're in all-time high territory, price discovery mode, and all bets are off, right? If you see AMP on a weekly scale above 9 cents and closing, right, not just price, you see all these wicks. AMP tends to be a little bit volatile when it gets moving. So if you see a closing weekly candle above 9 cents, get ready. AMP could take off in a hurry. AMP has obviously a lot of use case. So if you don't know about AMP, you probably do if you're watching this video, right? But AMP has a great use case. I think AMP has a future for sure. But what is it going to do in the short term because it's so young? We don't know. It's still gaining. It's like a baby. We're just walking, right? We're learning to walk. We don't know if we're raising Superman or we're raising a baby that's going to take 3 years to walk, right? So we don't know yet. Which baby will AMP be? We don't know. Hopefully Superman. So we'll see. But those are key levels to be watching in the future. So let's go to the next one. Nothing on that one. I feel like we'll come back to that one. I think it's still loading. All right, what do we got? Well, another chart for AMP USD on the daily chart. What are these lines? This is the 200-day simple moving average. The orange line is the 50-day simple moving average. What do these mean? Well, when they cross, usually, when your 50 is crossing below it, what is that called? That's a death cross. Does that sound good or bad? That would not be great news for AMP. How could we avoid a death cross? I'm glad you asked. We have to get prices above both of these lines, namely the 50. If we can get price action above here, this would avoid a death cross and it would end up looking like a bounce. If you need some illustrative purposes, if you didn't do so well in kindergarten, we can look at what we want here, right? So the 200 is a big moving average, so it's not likely to move a whole lot. Now, however, if you see prices with AMP kind of doing this, right, climbing up, doing a nice move, then this will avoid and you will see this uptick pretty sharply. So that's what we want to see out of AMP. We do not want to see this move, right? If prices come down, if we get rejected here and then we go down like this, we're going to get a death cross. There's your 200 and then your 50. We'll just continue down like this. That would not be good. So we have two scenarios. We're close to making that approach, aren't we? We're gonna have to either get a bounce or a cross. I would say sometime in the next week or two at the most, right? Depending on what the price does. So I would say this week we probably have either a death cross or a death cross avoidance with a bounce. So we will see. Watch the prices. You have to get above 5.3, and obviously the higher you could go, the more likely of a chance that you're going to avoid that death cross. So that is AMP daily. All right, let's see what else we got. The AMP on the RSI. What do we got here? Well, we got macro lower highs. So this is obviously not great, but so is Bitcoin. I mean, a lot of coins are looking just very similar to this. So not a huge concern. what we'd like to see out of AMP to really get moving to the upside is we have to break this trend. We've been going down since April on the RSI, Relative Strength Index. To show more strength, you got to break the strength index downturn. All we have to do is get above, roughly 59, depending on when we do it, right? It could, take another couple days, couple weeks. But once we're above this and we break this structure, we want to hold this line as support. We want to come up above it, and then if we come back, we want to bounce off of that line and not come back under it. And then what do you want to do? You want to look for these highs. You want to take out 63, then you want to take out 71, 72, and then you're reversing this trend. That's what you want to do. See how these AMP can move in a hurry. So we have to break this downtrend on the RSI. What else do we got? Let's go take a look, see. Bollinger Bands for AMP. Why do these matter? Well, it tells volatility. Let's remove that line. What do I like about this? Well, price action is above our median line, the purple, right? The mouth seems to be opening, right? We got this little channel. You can go look back at any coin. Bollinger Bands work on everything. See this move here? See this explosive move to the upside? Your price action's on top of the median, the purple median line. And see the mouth? See the top line, the pink and the pink here? And then the bottom. You want them to diverge away from each other. That would increase volatility, and you're going to go in the direction that price action is as the mouth is open. So, as you can see here, as the bands open, price action's on the bottom of this median line, and then prices continue down. So, prices are right now on top. And see this opening? See this mouth? It's starting to pull up, and you want this bottom one to go down. You want them diverging away from each other, opening like a mouth, and then whichever way your prices are, when that starts to happen, more likely than not, the prices will continue in that direction. So that is the good. What is the bad? Well, as you go up in time frames, you generally want the bigger time frames to look better than the shorter time frames for a macro trend. You want to invest for the long term and not so much the day-to-day. So the daily looks okay. However, as we go up in time frame, you can see where we are now, right? So now we're below it on a 3-day. What do we want to do? Get above it, right? You want to kind of put the daily perspective. We want to do this on the 3-day as you move up in time frames. So that's the 3-day. Not great, not good, pretty indifferent, right? The mouth is kind of just running parallel. So nothing too bad. We just want to get prices above that, which is about 5.5 cents. Okay, how about the 5-day? It's about the same thing. Lines are running parallel right around the median. How about the weekly? So I usually like to look at like maybe the daily and the weekly, kind of give a health check on whatever coin I'm looking at. On the Bollinger Bands, on the moving averages, everything. You can find out a lot in just 30 seconds to 60 seconds, looking at a couple different charts for that coin. Look at the daily, look at the weekly. You can see pretty well what the coin's looking like. So with AMP on this one, we're still kind of in limbo here. Notice the bands, they're closing. What does that mean? That means the volatility is shrinking. If you got these bands only like a 1/4 of an inch apart, the price wouldn't be able to do much, right? It's like a prison wall. So they can bounce back and forth, but the majority, high majority, 95% of your price action happens within the Bollinger Bands. As you can see, when you get above it, you can know that in the not so distant future, you're going to snap back in it, at least temporarily, before making another move. Notice that you don't see 15 consecutive green candles outside of the band, right? Yeah, it's just like an elasticity band. You can push it, but sooner or later, you're going to have to give up and get back in line, right? So that's what we're looking for AMP to get a bigger explosive move. You want to narrow the bands. See how narrow they are back here? The more narrow they get, the bigger move that is approaching in the not so distant future. So as these are narrowing, you want to get the mouth to open, and you want your price action on top of the median line, and then you can get your explosive move. So last chart, here we got AMP versus Bitcoin. You want to look at your coin, whatever your favorite coin is. I don't care. As long as it's not Dogecoin, some meme coin, compare it against Bitcoin. If it's not doing well against Bitcoin, maybe you should just hold Bitcoin. The only reason you hold altcoins is because you expect a higher ROI, return on your investment, than Bitcoin gives you. If your coin's not outperforming Bitcoin, you're probably emotionally attached to it, 1, or it's too young, 2, which is kind of AMP, right? It's a little young, it's gaining its ground, right? AMP is going to certainly, I believe in AMP. It's certainly in my top, one of my top coins. But right now, it's not looking so great the past year, the rest of the summer. Since it's made its peak up here, it's been trending down. Now, this is only on the daily scale. So I want to show you that what do we want to look for AMP to do well against the US dollar? It's got to start doing well against Bitcoin. And to get to that level, we have to break the 21-day EMA, which has been holding as pretty nice resistance since, we came back down and towards the end of July. So what is our basically our front running indicator will be if prices start holding this and flip it as support. You want to get on top and hold it as support, kind of like it was back here. Watch, see this? So you're messing around, and your bigger moves will always happen on top of this moving average. So until you can flip it and hold it as support, see that? Even the wick, we went down below it, but the candle closed up here. This is your bigger moves. And AMP is still young. This is why it looks like this. If you pull out in a bigger time frame or go look at Bitcoin in the early stages of Bitcoin and Ethereum, they all look like this too. But as time progresses, you'll find out that the trends kind of are giveaways that as you're getting ready to start bigger moves for bigger coins that have a lot of history, you'll see that this holds very well. And with younger coins, it tends to be like this, kind of hit or miss. So it's tougher to judge on younger coins. Certainly AMP is in that category right now. But what I would be looking for on the daily chart is AMP to flip this. So against Bitcoin. So this can be useful against US dollar too. And if you don't know, you can trade your coins against Bitcoin. So you don't always have to sell to fiat. You could sell over to Bitcoin. You could sell over to Ethereum sometimes. Some coins have Ethereum pairs. So whatever the pair is, you don't always have to convert back to, fiat money. You can go over to a different coin. So this would be that coin. So if you hold a bunch of AMP and you're like, well, I just want to get into some Bitcoin, you could just flip to Bitcoin. You don't have to sell back to fiat money and then buy back into Bitcoin. That'd be 2 transactions. Might as well just flip it to Bitcoin. So easy point. Now let's go look at one more thing. This is AMPBTC and its entire history against Bitcoin on a weekly scale. So each of these candles is a week. Notice the massive move this year from AMP. Went from, just fractions to, let's see what this kind of move is. See from this low here. Let's see what kind of percent move. So that's 1,500% move in about 70 days. So that got a little testy against Bitcoin, didn't it? So now this is kind of our first time since our big initial move that we're back under the 21 week now, right? Because we're on a weekly scale. This moving average now flips to a weekly scale. And bullish if you're above the 21 week, a little bit bearish when you're below the 21 week. So for the time being, we need AMP to flip this. The daily will be your initial one, right? You want to flip the daily first, and then hopefully you're in the not so distant future, you'll flip this and start holding the 21 week as support, as we did back here. So this is kind of where I'm looking at. Hopefully with AMP, we're like right in this area, right? We're going to start making some nice moves, get above it. And then when you come back down, if you come back down, you want to hold it as support for a prolonged period of time. This is kind of like what we're doing with Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin is actually against USD, BTC USD is above the 21 week. We need to hold Bitcoin as support. As Bitcoin moves up, the rest of the coin should move up. But this is exactly what we want to see. So hopefully we're kind of somewhere in this move with AMP, and in the not so distant future throughout October, maybe even November, we get back above it, and then we can make a bigger move. So promising from AMP, but we need to get moving to the upside and hold the 21 day, the 21 week, and then we can talk about bigger moves. So that is AMP in a nutshell today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Got a request on this from my Patreon members, so appreciate you. Thanks for the ideas. We'll try to do a couple more videos. As the markets are heating up, I don't mind doing a little more videos because more people watch. When markets are bearish and, nobody watches. So I'm trying to help as many people as possible, but also, not waste everyone's time. And, if the markets are going sideways, you don't need to know every, 47 videos a day, right? It's kind of just hands off, just wait for it. As the markets are moving up, it's fun to make more videos. Everyone's excited. We can give projections, trajectories, all that good stuff. Talk about lions, tigers, and bears, and Ferraris. Our car of the day was a Ferrari Roma. If you didn't watch the other video, we did it on Bitcoin this morning. Go watch that. Ferrari Roma, car of the day. Car matching grill. So hopefully you like it. Ferrari Roma, what do you think? Maybe you get some amp and maybe still some amp in a couple years and get one of these. Some shiny amp to some shiny Ferrari. All right, that's amp on the day. That's 20 minutes, dang. I tried to keep it shorter. Not possible. Hopefully it helps somebody out there. Even one person, it's all worth it. Let me know if it helped you. If I get no answers, forget amp. Forget all your videos. I'm trying to help you. Leave me a comment. A thumbs up. How well this video does may depend on how many more I do. We'll see. Peace out.